23rd of June. It is almost the end of June. Somehow, inexplicably, we are approaching July, which I don't quite understand because I still think it's March some days. Sometimes I think this year has been 10 years. Sometimes I think this year has been 10 weeks. But here we are. Welcome to a crazy week of news. Didn't mute my computer. Welcome to a crazy week of news wherein I didn't think anything could happen that would get me as excited as I needed to be to get out of my funk of rage and disappointment and everything else that's been going on with the world. But lo and behold, the world's getting a little better. We're chipping away at some atrocities. We have a long way to go. We're not even quite to the starting line yet, but once we get to the starting line, I feel like we'll have some momentum, and maybe by the time our grandkids are here, we'll have made something of this time. That being said, I really appreciate you guys sticking with me the last couple weeks while I've been bringing in more real world stuff into the pop culture. I'm going to mix up the format of the show starting this week. What I think I'm going to do is big news stories, stuff that matters a lot to me in the middle, and then a bit of the real world in the center of the show, because just because Black Lives Matter isn't trending anymore, and just because you're not noticing as many protests, they're still happening, they're just peaceful, so the news doesn't give a shit. I'll be putting that right before the streaming recommendations and the comic book pull list, and that way I kind of balance out the people that want the escapism, and also the people that want to be informed. I understand that I am a source of escapism for a lot of people, but you guys also understand that I need to talk about the stuff that's mattering to me in the real world, and also just because I'm here to talk pop culture doesn't mean I am not living and breathing and experiencing all this stuff. So we're going to find a balance. We're going to find like a new tone for Koi Cubed and Koi Cast. My Koi Cast last week was pretty aggressive, and I listened to it back, and I regret nothing of what I said, and I even don't mind how I said it. I just don't want to be yet another angry voice for you guys not to have some escapism. So going forward, that's the plan. It's going to be near the middle of the show, and we're going to be able to talk about the real world stuff there. That way we can keep talking about it because it's important, but you guys also get some escape. So let's kick it off with Michael Keaton is coming back as Batman. Guys, I never thought we'd see the day. It's been 31 years since Batman. It's been 31 years since the DC film universe showed us that we could have these very serious comic book films. It's been 31 years. It's actually been 32 years since Michael Keaton was announced, and everybody was like, the guy from Mr. Mom is Batman, and thus started the age-old Hollywood tradition of doubting Batman casting and then being surprised. Bale got a lot of shit, then everybody's like, oh, no, and he's great. Affleck got endless shit, and then now everyone's like, please come back. Pattinson's getting shit, and it'll be the same thing. So, it started 32 years ago with people doubting Bat casting, and here we are, now he's back in the cowl. Now, this is exciting for a myriad of reasons. This is exciting because it implies Batman Beyond is an option. It implies a Batverse of sorts. It implies an opportunity for Michael Keaton to be both the guy that gathers good guys in the DCEU and the guy that gathers bad guys in the MCU. We are very potentially having a Bat Nick Fury and a Bat Sinister Six Vulture. Insane to me. He's the perfect guy for the role. I love the fact that Michael Keaton's career is based on him having wings and being an incredible actor, but I never thought this was coming. I thought Birdman was a great epilogue to him being Batman, and then I thought Vulture was just icing on the cake, that we got a Green Goblin-esque proto-Vulture that actually improved on much of the source material. I thought that was going to be it. I thought that was already more than we could have asked for, and now Michael Keaton making me excited for The Flash, a movie I maintain may not ever exist. I hope it does. Now I think it's going to be like 90%. I went from thinking this movie had a 30% chance of existing to 90%. That is a one cast member leap of 60% reality. It's just been moved. It's been moved more times than New Mutants, and New Mutants is done. So when you get moved this many times in pre-production, it's jarring. I love Andy Muschietti. I think he's going to be an incredible director for this. So much of horror is timing and framing and shaping a movie, and I think that's so vital for a character like The Flash. It's vital for all comic book movies, but especially a character like The Flash, whose almost naive optimism, which I share, is so hard to accomplish. He's such a golden age hero in so many ways, and I think Andy Muschietti is going to really capture that tone so very well. And Barry Allen is traditionally late. the irony of being the fastest man alive and always being late is beautifully there. So having Barry Allen show up, as the DCEU starts to reform, beautiful. Now, I've talked for about 18 months, I think, at this point, about how I think Flashpoint shouldn't end a universe, it should start a universe. It was one of my first episodes of Heroes a while back, closer to, I don't even know time. What's time in quarantine? Anyway, one of my OG episodes of Heroes, where I was basically saying I would use Flashpoint as a catalyst to allow different multiverses and Elseworlds. I would use it as a, let's extrapolate from here. So instead of collapsing using Flashpoint, which the comics are able to do and which Infinity Crisis are able to do, I would have it so with Flashpoint you visit different universes, and therefore you can see what people like in the characters and you can launch different universes from there. We saw how well Joker did. That was an Elseworld. We saw how much people want the Snyder Cut and they want Ben Affleck back. That can be a different universe than the Batman with Robert Pattinson universe. But with this Flash, you can have Pattinson interact with Gal Gadot and Aquaman and Ezra Miller and it not mess with continuity by bringing it all together. Batman Beyond can exist with the Bruce Wayne that is Michael Keaton, bringing in a Terry McGinnis simultaneously with both Batfleck and Pattinson in this way. This is an opportunity to literally, I'm not comparing the two houses, but literally have an Into the Spider-Verse moment where Nicolas Cage's Spider-Man was very well regarded. He might get his own movie. It might go that direction. That's not even a rumor. I'm saying that could happen because of how well regarded the character was. Now with Flashpoint, we can see how Batman Beyond does if he gets introduced. We can see about bringing Affleck back, etc., etc. So we get a full-on Batverse, we get so many options, and this opens up the opportunity for Jon Stewart, for Guy Gardner, for all sorts of different heroes to interact with different universes. Green Lanterns can be a totally separate thing and go from there depending on how they're introduced in the Snyder Cut. Because the Snyder Cut has Green Lanterns, I've heard, so they can either use the cast there or not because of Flashpoint. So this Bruce Wayne casting, this bringing back of Michael Keaton is not just nostalgia, it's not just nostalgia, it is literally a genre redefining opportunity for the DCEU to come together again and also start going outward again. It's the Big Bang. It's bringing everything in together and launching it out. Is perfect with one casting decision. This is amazing. And it's Michael Keaton. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And I've seen a lot of people saying they want Michelle Pfeiffer back. All about it. I've seen a lot of people talking about a lot of people they want back. They can do all of that now. The insanity of Crisis on the CW is now possible in cinema. And since Ezra Miller and Grant Gustin met, they've already introduced the concept of multiple characters within the Flashpoint concept. So we can even have the CW actors, if they want to mess with that, come into the fold in cinema, which frankly, Marvel is just starting to lay the groundwork with their Marvel Disney Plus shows, which we don't have yet. So it'd be a great way for DC to show the scope of their synchronicity with a lot of power behind it. Because the shared universe on their TV stuff is incredible. So if you can layer that into the movies, this is insane. This is glorious. I saw a couple super chats. I want to check on those. I want to thank you guys for throwing those super chats my way. I'm going to see what people are saying in here. I saw one earlier from Mukbang Reviews. Support for your channel and the new format sounds dope. I appreciate it. That is the plan. I really think that's going to appeal to both. I lost a fair amount of followers, which I don't mind. It's not about followers. It's about being a good human. But I do want to make sure the followers I have feel like they're here for the reason they started the show. I know it's hard when a show changes tone. I know it's hard when a show changes. So I want to find a middle ground so I can respect the OGs and still be true to myself and make sure you guys have escapism but also information. So thank you, Mukbang Reviews, both for the support and that note, because it's going to be a learning curve for a bit. I also saw a Streamlab pop up, I do believe. Let me go ahead and refresh here and see what I missed before we go on to the next story, and then I'm going to check the chat for any Michael Keaton stuff. Guys, this is like one of the most exciting bits of news I've ever gotten to report. I love this so very much. I doubt we'll ever get, Clooney back in his bat nipples, but now we could. I don't know how that would work because Michael Gough was Alfred for all of the Batman, so I don't know if that's considered different universes or one universe. I don't know how they would do that, but good God, am I excited. Okay, I think that was the only super chat. If I missed anybody else, please do let me know. I thought I saw a little zombie guy pop up, but I'm not seeing it here. So, all right, let's see. People are excited about the Michael Keaton. People are excited to see him go nuts. I try to be real. I appreciate you. I waited to do a live stream after Roxy was done. I want to respect the the fellow YouTube folk that are rebuilding their own channels and stuff like I am post Collider. So here I am. And yeah, we all try to communicate about scheduling times because we know a lot of you guys want to watch all the shows. So we made it work. All right, I think I got everybody. I want to move on to the next crazy story, which is, of course, all the AMC stuff happened earlier in the week. I want to talk about that. We're going to get to that a little later in the show. But while we're on Batman, I want to say that Joel Schumacher is so much more than Batman, and I love comic book movies. Obviously, it's me. But like, Joel Schumacher redefined multiple decades of filmmaking. He reestablished genres. He reinvented genres. He gave us some of the biggest actors today by casting them in their early works. In the 80s, he helped establish Rob Lowe and Emilio Estevez's career. Like, we wouldn't have the Mighty Ducks without St. Elmo's Fire. We wouldn't have Wayne's World to West Wing without St. Elmo's Fire. In the 90s, he reestablished McConaughey. He made McConaughey a star with A Time to Kill. He bolstered Samuel L. Jackson's career and Sandra Bullock's. The guy brought those giant names into the fray. In the 2000s, he introduced us to Colin Farrell in Tigerland, his first American film, and then put him in Phone Booth to give him a incredible platform to show how great of an actor he is. Flatliners, one of my top 10 movies of all time, Lost Boys. I love his Phantom of the Opera. One of my favorite dark, depraved films, 8mm. There's so much that Mann did, and it really drives me crazy. And this is hard because I'm a comic book guy, but it drives me nuts. Everybody's like, Batman director? No. 4 decades of incredible filmmaking director. 35 years of changing cinema. I know that math didn't add up, but I don't know his actual scope of which years he directed, but I know in 1985 was St. Elmo's Fire, and he was still making content in the 2010s. He did 2012, I think he did 2 episodes of House of Cards right after David Fincher. The man is an icon of cinema, and he was 80 years old, and I feel like we really need to look at someone's entire scope of stuff. This is one of those times that I see where Scorsese's coming from, where we need to look at not just the big, flashy, most recent pop culture bits of information. Joel Schumacher is not the guy that made Batman and Robin. He's the guy that made The Lost Boys, 8mm, Flatliners, St. Elmo's Fire, and Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin, and Phone Booth, and Tigerland. And these are just the ones off the top of my head. These are just the ones that I like. I love Joel Schumacher's work. So, let's just, if you're watching the show, you're probably a comic book fan, do me a favor, a personal favor, and check out some of Joel Schumacher's other work, because the man made some of the best stuff of my life. He has up there with Fincher and Nolan for the most works from one director in my top 50 movies of all time. He's done so very, very much. I watched Lost Boys this year for my birthday. My 31st birthday, I just had a bunch of friends over. We got really drunk and watched Lost Boys and Rock of Ages, because that's what I wanted to spend doing my birthday. I wanted to have a small contained birthday with friends, so I wanted to watch Lost Boys. On my other show, Coy-Lection, we talk about all the movies in my collection, and I kept mentioning how slept on Joel Schumacher was, and then we lost him this week. And it just drives me nuts to see all the obits running the same exact, kind of misguided bullshit. So, Joel Schumacher, you were incredible. Thank you for the numerous films you gave to us. Thank you for introducing us to so many different genres. Thank you for taking chances. Thank you for being bold. Thank you for everything you did for cinema. I appreciate the hell out of your work. Rest in peace to the late, great, wonderful, powerful Joel Schumacher. Honor him by checking out his work. This week I'm going to have a Joel Schumacher-a-thon. I'm definitely going to be watching a bunch of Joel Schumacher content this week to memorialize him, because there's a bunch of movies I wanted to rewatch anyway. And yes, I see in the chat, he did write the screenplay to The Wiz. The man wasn't just an incredible director, he was also an incredible writer. So, much love to Joel Schumacher, an incredible, incredible creator. Thank you for everything you did. And I also see in the chat someone mentioning Ian Holm. I don't know as much of Ian Holm's work as I know of Schumacher's, but obviously the work I do know is just powerful. Between Alien and Lord of the Rings and his Shakespearean work, absolutely vital to the pop culture zeitgeist and vital to actors of repute taking pop culture work. Alec Guinness always got like, why did I do Obi-Wan? I'm a Shakespearean actor. Ian Holm seemed to cherish both both the pop culture leaning stuff and the highbrow stage entertainment. So much love to Ian Holmes. Well, I totally agree. We lost him this week as well. So much love to the icons of cinema we lost this week, and watch some of their stuff and honor them. I'm a firm believer in the concept that we die twice. Once when we stop breathing, and once when the last person says our name for the last time. And that's one of the reasons I work as hard as I do. I want to live as long as I can, especially after I'm gone, by leaving a legacy worthwhile. So I want people to always have my name in mind. I want people to always remember me. So I want to remember Joel Schumacher likewise. I want to remember Ian Holm likewise. So honor them with appreciating their works, and keep them in here, because then they don't go away. They're up here. So much love to both those gents. And yeah, check out some Schumacher stuff this week. All right, I will move along to a bit happier tidings after I have a sip of chocolate milk and coffee, because I'm an adult. It is a very crazy journey that Why the Last Man has taken to screen. It was being considered for movies about 15 years ago, so long ago that Disturbia, remember the Shia LaBeouf movie, Disturbia's director wanted to team up with Shia to make a Why the Last Man movie. That's how long ago it was. And now, finally, after many years, it's not going to be a movie, it's going to be a series. It's going to be a show on FX. Now, that has been shut down and restarted numerous times. It's had different showrunners. It's had a lot going on. It lost its Yorick. It lost its lead. We have a new Yorick. Crazy, tumultuous journey. Now it is on a new network. Now we are getting Why the Last Man on FX on Hulu. That is where Why the Last Man is going to live. Now, FX on Hulu isn't FX, and it isn't FXX. It's its own thing. Now, I think that's going to be more adult-driven content. I think they're going to do kind of what Marvel's been doing, where I see Hulu as where Marvel's more adult-oriented content lands, and I think FX is going to do something similar, because FX has, Always Sunny in Philadelphia and all this other content, and I feel like it's great to have a little, adult corner. So it gives me hope that Why the Last Man might get more creative freedom. It might have a little better budget, might have some flexibility, but these networks are also new. Like, the internet in the broadcast sense is fairly new. I mentioned House of Cards with Joel Schumacher. That was less than 10 years ago, and when that was getting cast, I was an actor boy back then. That was on a new media contract that SAG didn't know how to cover yet, because it was so new that it was considered a web series. House of Cards was considered a web series for a bit, and SAG was like, I don't know, and it's got like Robin Wright Penn and David Fincher's directing it. So the concept of this internet content is such a new frontier. I don't know what that means for networks like FX and Hulu. I don't know what that means for these shows, but I'm very excited to see Why the Last Man. I'm excited to see the changes it can make on FX and Hulu. I think it's the perfect time for that show to exist. I reread that at the about middle of April. About a month into quarantine, I was like, it's the dystopian future that we always feared. I'll need to read Why the Last Man, and it rocked me. I love that book, but reading it this time, I got to the last issue, and I actually had to take the rest of the day to kind of recover. I'd forgotten how much that book impacted me, so if the show can accomplish any of those emotions, then we're in great hands. So I know Brian K. Vaughan is involved. I know he's enthusiastic with this team. I know he wouldn't do anything to sacrifice his baby, so I assume FX and Hulu is the right place for it, because if BKV says he's in, then I'm in. Alright, so also we have Free Comic Book Summer happening this very summer. As you probably know, Free Comic Book Day is the first weekend in May every year. They're literally able to use the same bags because it's the first weekend in May, and that's what those bags say. And I was definitely aware when Free Comic Book Day was canceled that this year would not be the same. I think they canceled in April. Well, they would have had to, but like early April, and that was the moment I was like, yes, we're not getting SDCC, we're not getting WonderCon, we're not getting New York Comic Con. That was the moment I was like, okay, 2020. Well, we'll see you 2021. We'll figure it out. So Free Comic Book Day itself is a piece of what comic books are. You get tons of new readers involved. You get people in comic stores. You often have big sales. You often get new readership from not just people that aren't reading comics in general, but new titles. Like if you're at the at New Comic Book Day, maybe you only read Spider-Man, but you check out something from IDW. Maybe you check out something from Image that day. It's a really great way to broaden your readership and also bring in new readers. So I love New Comic Book Day, and they announced this week that New Comic Book Day is in fact not canceled. It has been extended. So instead of having one giant day of new comic books, the comic stores are going to have a new comic book summer. Now, free comic book, not new comic book. Of course, there's new comic books in the summer. Free comic book day is going to be all summer from July 15th through September 9th. We are getting free comic book summer. Now that means 45 official free comic book day books. It means 35 silver sponsored titles. And it looks like 10 gold sponsored titles. So that's 45 plus 45 is 90 free comic book day books spread across July 15th through September. So that means that comic book stores are going to get a few at a time, I think 5 or 6, and you'll be able to check out new comics. Now these often get rare because they're hard to collect. There's a certain amount of print, so I highly recommend you checking what your comic store is going to be carrying. I highly recommend you use this opportunity to try out new titles. I highly recommend you pick up books that you've been a little curious about or creators you're a little curious about and then dive into their work. This is a great opportunity to try stuff for free. That's the point. I'm going to read you some of the highlights for me. On July 15th, there is a free comic book day Power Rangers book. I've been wanting to check out Boom Studios Power Rangers for a while. My buddy Mike Moda is a giant Power Rangers fan, and I recently got him into comics by having him read Power Rangers comics, and now he's reading like indie books like Fight Club 2, he's reading Spider-Man, he's checking out X-Men, like he's in comics now because of Power Rangers. So to honor that, I'm going to be checking out Power Rangers, and free comic book day is a great opportunity. That is coming out July 15th. X-Men #1 is coming out on July 15th as well, which is continuing the insanity of the Jonathan Hickman stuff. So we got a Jonathan Hickman free comic book day book on July 15th. I am a big I used to be a huge Asterix and Obelix fan, and I want to check out what that is like currently. That is also a July 15th book. My dad loved that book when I was a kid, so I want to check it out because I remember digging it. July 22nd, we get a Bloodshot book with Vin Diesel on the cover. We get an official movie variant of that. There's a book on the 22nd called Dark Arc Instinct, which is from Colin Bunn, who I really dig, so I'm going to be checking that one out personally. That is on the 22nd. On the... What date is this? July 22nd, we got Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman doing an Amazing Spider-Man Venom #1. This is my most anticipated free comic book of all. I know that there's giant stuff coming from Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman this summer, so I'm very excited. There's also a Jed McKay story, Patrick Gleason, tons of great stuff in this very issue, so that's my most anticipated. That is July 2nd, a new Venom Spider-Man story. We had a new Archie book on July 29th. I have fallen in love with Archie comics. I am a big fan. I cannot wait to check that out. Stranger Things, I assume this is not tied to the new Jodie Hauser Stranger Things, but the Stranger Things comics have been very consistent, very good. July 29th. You can pick up The Boys #1 reprinted, a new edition of The Boys #1 to catch up if you liked the show, catch up on the book itself. That is going to be on July 29th from Derek Robertson, the great Derek Robertson, much love to that man. We also have some indies in between. Late July has got some indie books. We got a Batman Tales book on the 29th, a gorgeous Marcelo Di Chiara. I don't know how to say his name, but he has gorgeous work. And that is a Batman Tales Once Upon a Crime. So fantasy stuff with Batman is July. And I'm just going to do July because I don't want to read through September. But good God, that's just July's free comic books. So check out freecomicbookday.com. I've got the entire list of what's coming out every week. That is just a seventh of what the offerings are going to be. So I'm very excited. Do check out freecomicbookday.com. Support your local comic book store. Go out, get the free comics, and try out a couple that are cheap. Try out a couple while you're getting free stuff. If you buy 5 comics at $4 a pop, it's $20. If you get 5 free comic book day comics as well, that's $20 for 10 comics. That makes all those comics $2 a pop. Cuts it in half right away. $20, 10 comics. Support comic book stores with your money and with the free comics. It's that easy. $2 a comic is $19.97 prices. Rock that 97 steez and get some comic books. Free comic book summer is coming at ya. All right, I'm going to check over at Streamlabs, make sure I haven't missed any questions because I've been ranting for a bit. Oh, we got the Streamlabs zombie, I think, finally popped into the Streamlabs. My internet is being good visually so far. I'm not gonna call down the heavens. It just took a minute. The great Michael McCarsell. How you doing, man? Dude, as always, thank you so very, very much. Michael and I are scheming our next watch-along for not this Friday, because I'm doing comic books and craft beer this Friday, but next Friday, and it is a movie I'm very, very excited to watch with folks. I'm going to announce it next week, but a week from Friday, the next watch-along, thank you to the great Michael McCarcel. He is sponsoring a watch-along, but I'm going to wear headphones this time and know that I'm doing a bit of prep for this one. I'm very excited for it. The first 2 rules of this watch-along are you don't talk about it, but I have to talk about it because we're going to advertise it. So I just gave it away. You're welcome. All right. Michael McCarcel has this to say. I am hopeful that the Keaton Batman being introduced will be part of an eventual introduction of the multiverse. I also think that our Bats will be the Batman of another Earth and might get brought into main continuity eventually. I 100% agree with everything you just said. I think that the continuity issues of Batman with Pattinson will be solved by having him be perhaps an Elseworld just like Joker, because we've had Batfleck interact with Gal and Aquaman and too many people to have that Batman be disavowed. Because Aquaman and Wonder Woman to continue on. What's tricky is Shazam, Cyborg, if we have more Cyborg movies, all those things. Shazam doesn't technically have a Batman yet, and we just got Cavill back as Superman, but he's not technically in the Shazam universe. So not only do we already have a multiverse with definitely Joker, probably Pattinson, maybe even Shazam, this is a great opportunity to bring it all together. I totally agree. And we also have introducing multiverse. Yeah, I do think this is the Flashpoint is going to be the inciting incident to everything coming together by expanding, and I think that's exactly perfect. So I totally agree, Michael. I think this is the best thing DC could have done, and I think doing it with someone like Keaton adds a little panache to the classiness. I think he's just such a icon that the fact that he wants to come back and be Batman again only helps us. And I was so making that graphic for the show of Batman Beyond Bruce and him is it just looks right. It's just there. So yes, and thank you again for the Streamlab, and I'm really excited for our watch along team up next week. Mukbang Reviews asks, what is my favorite Batman costume? Oh, okay. One, shameless plug. There is a thing on YouTube called Iconic. It is from Skybound. I work with Iconic. I work with Skybound sometimes, and I do the show with them called Iconic, and it's why things are iconic. So I did one about why Deadpool's iconic. I also did one about the bat symbol. I would argue the bat symbol is the most iconic symbol in comic books. I think even more than the S. I think even more than the Green Lantern symbol. I think the bat symbol brands things better than Coca-Cola, better than Nike. The bat symbol symbolizes so much, and it's also the representation of Batman's weakness turned strength. He literally was afraid of bats, so he made it part of himself, and he visually manifests that with a bat. There's so many layers to it. It's also the thing that really makes, the Bat family is so bat heavy. Even Nightwing, who doesn't have a bat, has that symbol. So it's like a 9-minute video. I can't summarize it here. I made this dissertation on why Batman's iconic, and that's about his costume, about symbols specifically. So it's a really hard question because I am so invested in it. But I would say either Scott Snyder's with the... I love the gray with the black bat. And what Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo did was they gave it a yellow outline around it. And they often had the purple gloves back. And it's more utilitarian suit. So early Scott Snyder stuff I'm a huge fan of, and next to that probably Jim Lee. So Jim Lee or Greg Capullo with the Scott Snyder era. Those are my 2 favorite suits between those 2. Big fan of the classic, big fan of the gray with the black chest. Hope that helps. Hope that answers your question. And also, dude, check out that video. It's a 9-minute answer to your question. I go through a lot of my favorite bat suits, but either Capullo's or Jim Lee's. Alrighty, let's see what else is going on in the world. It is great to be here today with you guys. I was excited to do this show. It has been another crazy week. All right, speaking of crazy weeks, it is the year 2020, and Jurassic Park and Jaws are fighting it out to be #1 on the box office charts. Jurassic Park and Jaws. Jaws invented the summer blockbuster, and then Jurassic Park leveled it up in 95, and 1995 was 25 years ago. 1, that's fucking scary. 2, 45 years ago was Jaws. Exactly 45 years ago and exactly 25 years ago were these 2 movies, and Spielberg is fighting himself for #1 at the box office because of the world in its current state. Drive-ins are the safest way to see a movie right now, and I love that. I love a good drive-in. I haven't made it to one yet. I've been absurdly busy during this quarantine. I need to make time to do the fun things. So I need to go to a drive-in. I haven't watched a movie in theaters since February. I almost went and saw Bloodshot the week that the pandemic was getting worse. Oh, that's not true. I saw The Gentleman on like March 3rd. Either way, I haven't been to a theater or had a cinematic experience in very long. The longest since I was born. Because me and my mom, when I was a baby, used to go to the movies all the time because I loved the theater. I was quiet in the theater. And then as soon as I was old enough to appreciate it, we went all the time. So this is the longest I've ever been without going to the cinema. The drive-in, I need to do. The drive-in is currently playing OG movies. Jurassic Park was 93. This is why I don't schmo down. This is why I manage. So that was 27 years ago. Either way, 45 years ago, Jaws. 27 years ago, Jurassic Park. But Jurassic Park topped this weekend's chart with $517,000 in drive-in money. $500,000 for a movie that came out 27 years ago. That is so freaking cool. That is people supporting cinema even when there's nothing new. That is people supporting classic film. That is people going out and doing things that are fun and safe. I love everything about this story. And then number 2 in box office, very, 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 very close, is we have Jaws, which opened in just about the same amount of theaters for $516,000. Literally $1,000 short of Jurassic Park was Jaws, which is an even older movie, which is a new generation of people experiencing Jaws, which is just the coolest. So that was in 187 locations, and it is its 2,349th weekend. Because that movie came out 45 years ago. That is its 2,349th weekend, which means when it plays in theaters next weekend, that is its beautiful 2,350th weekend out. That is so rad. I love this so very much. Obviously, we also have E.T. playing. We got Raiders of the Lost Ark to complete all of our Spielberg goodness. We're going to be having Back to the Future, Footloose, The Goonies. There's so much going on. And then theaters are slowly reopening with new stuff. And let's hope it's safe. Let's go over to that very subject. AMC has reversed its you don't have to wear a mask concept, and I think that's great. I think they were very short-sighted in saying this isn't a political matter conversation because being ignorant is a political decision. So them saying, like, we don't want to get involved in politics, let's let our employees die. My mom works at an AMC, so it was very hard for me. My mom has a heart condition. My mom is the most, like... My mom's the best. She's like the most caring person, so she loves her job. She was going to go right back to the theater and wear a mask and do everything she could. They're doing temperature checks, all that stuff, but the idea that people wouldn't be wearing a mask around my mom and my mom would have to go back to work was breaking me. I was upset every day I thought about it, and if you guys haven't seen my side-by-side photo, I've aged at least 5 years these 100 days, but that wasn't helping. But AMC, within a day, smartly was like, oh wait, we can be safe by just having this one thing? Okay, good. And they're not trying to profit off masks. They're literally going to give them out for $1 or wear your own fucking mask. And they're going to mandate masks be in the theater, or masks in the cinema. Obviously when you're eating you can't wear a mask, but that's going to be different because you're going to be separated from other people. But I was so worried that they were just going to let this stupidity stand. So masks are required at AMC. I think it's for the best. If you're willing to sacrifice other people's lives by not wanting to have something around your ears and pressed against your face, then you don't deserve to be entertained. If you're going to be so selfish, then you don't deserve to enjoy the content being put out. So I think it's for the best. And I also am very excited by the fact that they're teaming up with Clorox to have, in between the theater cleaning, there's going to be reduced auditorium capacities. I think they're doing, 30% for the first couple months, and then they're going to up it to 50%, and I think by the time we get to, like, Christmas, it might be closer to 75 or 100, but it's going to open at 30% capacity, so we'll be very, very distant from all those around you. They have updated cleaning procedures in between every shows. There's going to be keeping social distancing standards both sideways and forward and back. The menu is going to be simplified. This is all on AMC's website. Also, what happened this week was Fandango put out an update to their app that lists what all the protocols are, all the different theaters. So if you're paranoid of, dying, like I am, you can go to Fandango's site and see which theaters have which protocols in place. Obviously, this is an unprecedented time. Obviously, this is going to be a lot of learning curves for a lot of people. But while we're all sorting this out, I personally really, really, really want to see Tenet. I have said, fuck that, I'm not going back to the theater. What I might do is, since I have AMC A-List, I might try to go middle of the week at like midnight. Like, I'm not going to be there opening weekend, which is a bummer because I would never miss a Tenet movie short of my life being at risk. I mean, a Nolan movie, but here we are. So I might, if there's less than 5 people in the theater, go to a show. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but I think that's the plan. So I'm personally leery, but the theaters are reopening theoretically in July. I think July 1st they're going to have, like, you know, some back-in-the-day movies. And then the first movie that opens in theaters is actually Mulan. I think it's funny Nolan's getting all this crap, but Disney's putting out Mulan first. It's all messy. It's all a lot. We'll see what happens, but they are upping their cleaning standards. They are doing social distancing. They are requiring masks. That's all you can safely do and open, I suppose. And they're hemorrhaging money. They've lost billions. I see both sides. I'm still torn. You guys have been on this journey with me of knowing what's going on. We'll see. We'll see. All right, let me check the greatness that is the Streamlabs because I saw another thing pop up. All right. From Smack Talk. What up, man? Hey, Coy, I subscribed to DC Universe for Harley Quinn and finally got around to watching Doom Patrol. Wow, it's like a John Rogers, Dean Devlin show, especially when Mark Sheppard showed up with a bigger budget and more wackiness. Cannot wait for season 2. Dude, I absolutely agree. Doom Patrol is the thing on DC Universe. I'm so glad you subscribed. I had a lot of good friends over there when they were doing their DC Daily show. It's funny, I'm where am I? I just finished season 3 of Community, so I'm about to start season 4. I'm halfway through season 4 of The West Wing. I try to watch one drama, one comedy at a time. I'm reading about 70 comics and then 2 shows and then all the movies I watch every week, so I can't add more shows. I am doing the occasional, you know, for the Patreon, I do like My Hero Academia. The reason I haven't kept watching that is because there's just so much going on in my noggin. But I can't add more shows yet, but I keep wanting to watch Harley Quinn. So the plan now is I moved Harley up a little bit more. So the next show I'm watching in the comedy spot after Community is The Good Place, because I hear I have to watch that, and I've had it there for a long time. And then what's going to take the West Wing spot, my hour-long drama, is Kingdom, because I'm a big MMA fan, and I like having content that inspires me so I can work out more, and I can work out harder, and I can stay, you know, hyphy. So Kingdom's going to be next, but then after that, my half-hour show is going to be Avatar, and then the following half-hour show is going to be Harley Quinn. So Harley Quinn's now went from being like 20th up to the 5th in line because of you. So know that you moved Harley Quinn up from a likely 2021 watch to probably a Q3 to Q4 2020 watch. So thank you for singing its praises so often. I'm planning on watching Harley Quinn very, very soon, thanks to you, good sir. And I'm so glad you were enjoying Doom Patrol so very much. I think it's fantastic, and I love your description of it because it's a wonky good time. We also got one from Ash Arnold who said, the cinemas over here are opening on the 10th of July. I love the cinema, but I don't really want to go. The problem is they're playing Empire Strikes Back, the Back to the Future trilogy, Shawshank Redemption, and Goodfellas. Dude, I know. Like, they know cinema goers love those movies, and they know cinema goers are how they're going to get their cinemas back open. Like, we're all very torn. I don't know how I feel yet because the numbers are skyrocketing in California and Florida and many, many states. When we get to the real world part of the show, we're going to talk about all that, but the numbers are only going up. The first wave never ended. The first wave's just getting bigger. It's not even a second wave. We're just failing at stopping the first one. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I totally agree. Ash Arnold, I want to be at the theater. I want to see all these classic movies, but I probably won't be there till the end of July for Tenet, and even that I'm not sure about. It'll actually probably be August by then, because I'll wait for a little bit, so I get it. And it's going to suck, because my job is to review movies. My job is to be part of pop culture, and I'm afraid of learning stuff about Tenet I won't want to know. I'm afraid of not being able to report on it. Like, this sucks. I totally get it. So I'm with you. You have my full sympathy, and we can all figure this out together. And every single week, we'll just keep talking about it. So I'm in LA where there's far too many people and far too many cases that I can't make a decision right now. And if I do go, I'm going to get tested, wait 5 days, get my results, go see a movie the day I get my results, then go to the grocery store. I'll go to the grocery store before the movie. Grocery store, come home, go to the movie, come home with my groceries, wait 5 days, get tested again, wait for my results, then go back out. So I'll only be able to go to 2 movies a month at that rate, because it'll take like 15 days a cycle. That's the only thing I can think to do to make sure that I'm not asymptomatic and spreading it to other people, because I will not be responsible for other people's deaths. Anyway, it sucks. This all sucks, but we'll see what happens. All right, more news is afoot. Speaking of insane shifts in what movies and everything are doing, Netflix is very, very hungry and acquiring all sorts of new content that I am very excited about. As you guys probably know, I am a giant David Fincher fan. As you probably know, I am a giant fan of Aaron Sorkin. They are two of my favorite creators. That's why Social Network is such a magic piece of cinema for me. That said, David Fincher's movie Mank is likely going straight to Netflix. That is unprecedented. Ask most cinephiles, David Fincher comes up in their top 5 directors. Ask most cinema chains, David Fincher is one of those people that, like, yeah, we want a David Fincher movie. They don't always do that well, but there's always a certain ness to seeing a David Fincher movie in theaters. Mank is a period piece. It is black and white. Amanda Seyfried has said that she did over 200 takes of one scene. They shot a scene for a long time. And Mank is going straight to Netflix, it sounds like. So we are getting a David Fincher Netflix movie. Now, David Fincher and Netflix have a relationship because House of Cards was a David Fincher produced, first 2 episodes directed joint. It was very much his baby. And he's also doing Mindhunters over there. But I was shocked to hear that Mank was likely going straight to Netflix. So I will be very curious how this all shakes out. But also this week we found out The Trial of the Chicago 7, a movie I've been waiting 10 years for? A long time. That movie got tossed around a lot, and then Aaron Sorkin ended up directing it as well as writing it. And I can't wait, and I really wanted to see it in theaters. The cast, like, Yaya's in it. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. The cast is nuts, and it's Aaron Sorkin. It's exactly why I go to the cinema, and that's going straight to Netflix, so I'm really bummed about that personally. So Mank, Trial of Chicago 7, Cobra Kai just got picked up for Netflix. That's great. It's a show. That's great. They got more time. Chicken Run 2 is getting a sequel. They announced this week, also going to be on Netflix. They are recasting the Mel Gibson part, so Chicken Run 2 will have a new lead voice and will be a Netflix movie, which is very exciting. Most of the rest of the team is coming back from what I hear. That's exciting stuff. Kingdom, a show that I've only seen some of because it's always been on networks I have no access to, is finally coming to Netflix on July 1st. I'm a giant Jonathan Tucker fan, a giant Frank Grillo fan. 2 of my favorite actors did a show together about my favorite sport, and I haven't seen it. It's driving me crazy. Kingdom is about to enter my life on July 1st. I love everything Netflix is doing. Thank you, Netflix. This isn't a slight to Netflix. It's how are Aaron Sorkin movies and David Fincher movies, the very icons of modern cinema, going not to theaters. It's just... we'll see. We'll see. All right, I'm going to take a break from stressing and dive into the live chat. I'm going to try to do that every so often. The live chat is bumping today. Mukbang Reviews. I appreciate your answer about Batman suits, but of the movies, which is my favorite suit? You see, my brain goes comics. I appreciate you clarifying. Movies favorite suit. Ooh, that is a hard question. I think Ben Affleck's. I think the Batfleck suit is my favorite. Because you got Adam West, which I guess technically got a movie. We're going to count it. You got Michael Keaton's Batman 1 suit. You got the slight... And it had a lot of frilly things in the bottom. And then they modified it to make it more linear in that. And a little less armory in Batman Returns. You've got Michael Keaton's 2 suits. The one that ended with the thing across the chest with Robin. So he had 2 suits. You've got Batman and Robin had 3 suits. And then tons of toys. There's a lot of suits there, but I'm not a Bat Nipple fan. So that one's those 3 are out for me. And then you've got Chris Nolan's Batman Begins suit, which opened Dark Knight, and then Dark Knight he got a second suit. We've got to be at 10 by now. I think I miscounted. And out of those, I like the Dark Knight suit, but I think I like Batfleck's more. I think Ben Affleck's my favorite Batsuit. It felt like Frank Miller. I think that it looked the most mobile. It looked the most versatile. Ben Affleck looked like a tank. Ben Affleck looked the most capable. The warehouse fight scene is my favorite Batman fight. Just the fierceness of his style and the capableness, how much he knew how to use people's weight against them and how he would defend himself and how he used his weaponry and how he was both defensive and offensive with all the tools at hand. His intelligence showed while fighting, which I love when you can do that in a fight scene. And then the suit allowed for certain capabilities that were translated, and it looked like Affleck actually in the suit even when it was a stunt guy. Yeah, Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck is my favorite Batsuit. I have never actually narrowed it down. Yeah, Affleck. Batfleck, favorite suit. Gotta say. And for reasons. I actually feel very confident in that. Alright, let me see what the chat has been up to. Let's see. I don't know. We're talking about Collider folk. Don't know what started that part of the conversation. I'm a huge fan of Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Big fan. I don't listen to Nine Inch Nails as much as I did when I was younger, but I listen to the scores they do when I'm running or when I'm writing sometimes because they have a very ominous tone. They're great for writing. Big fan of that. Lewis, yeah, my mom's a manager at an AMC. She's the best. Let's see. Gentleman was my last movie. Hell yeah, Jonathan. It's my favorite new release of the year, and I've seen new movies, but Gentleman is my number one this year so far. Huge fan of The Gentleman. Big Guy Ritchie guy. Love that cast. Let's see. I don't know what that means. Did you say that Vernon is coming to Marquee? I don't know what that means. Okay, let's see if I missed anything else. I don't know. People are saying I don't have any mods. Did something happen that needed mods? I don't know how to do mods in the live chat because I am not good at technology, but I apologize if anyone was mean or aggressive in the chat. I cannot keep up with the chat, unfortunately, but I'm sorry if anything happened while I wasn't supervising. I will learn how to do mods one day. But yes, okay, I think we are back in time. Hello, everyone. I'm glad we got answers. All right. More news for you today. Hugh Jackman might be taking over for Christian Bale playing Ferrari. That's right, there was almost 2 movies with Ferrari in the title starring Christian Bale. Very insane circumstance. Michael Mann has been developing a Ferrari movie for quite some time. I am a car guy. I don't like taking care of cars, but I love cars. I love the beauty of cars. I love the concept of car culture. I love everything about cars except for I'm really bad at the patience it takes to work on them. I was a huge gearhead from 15 to 20-ish, and then I fell in love with motorcycles, and now I've fallen in love with trying to have money to eat. So, I've fallen out of car culture, but I will always see a car culture movie, and the moment I am out of my current tax bracket and have a little bit more money, I will have a nice car, and then when I'm at the next tax bracket, I will hopefully have people to help me take care of them. Have you seen the Audi RS5 in green? The Audi RS5 is, I'm putting it out there in the universe, it's probably 2 cars away, because I'm broke, but I want an Audi RS5. The 2018 green Audi RS5 will be mine, you mark my words. I'm saying it right here, on June 23rd, 2020, I will have an Audi RS5 in green. I lost my train of thought. Ferrari. Ferrari is a fascinating man that did a lot of fascinating things for cars and for people. I am very curious how they shape a Ferrari movie, especially after Ford versus Ferrari. Now, Christian Bale was going to play Ferrari for Michael Mann, long developing movie, but now we are going to get potentially Hugh Jackman as Ferrari. That is very exciting. I love both of these actors. It definitely intrigues me what Michael Mann and Hugh Jackman do when they work together. I'm really intrigued by a Michael Mann movie that's like a biopic. He's another of my favorite filmmakers, so teaming up Hugh Jackman and the great Michael Mann. I don't have a Michael Mann pillow, but Hugh Jackman and Michael Mann, very excited about it. So we will see what happens. That is why Hugh is the co-host for today, because we were talking about his Ferrari movie. This is all in the early stages. He hasn't officially signed on, but I am very in. All right, next up, real world shit. All right, guys, that was the end of the pop culture stuff. We have real world shit, just a little bit, and then we're going to go into our pull lists and into our streaming recommendations. So in the real motherfucking world, I'm going to try to stay in a good mood. I'm going to try to not get angry. I'm going to try to think we're doing better than we are. Breonna Taylor was killed 102 fucking days ago, and we've fired one of them and not arrested him, and he isn't in jail yet, and he was getting paid for 100 days. The other 2 are still being paid. It's not trending as much, you're not seeing her name pop up as much, but a woman who was a nurse on the front lines of COVID was killed in her sleep. Those details shouldn't matter. Anyone that got killed in their sleep, everyone should be in jail. Anyone that is 102 days. What the fuck? No one should be unsafe sleeping. I was trying to think of how to phrase anyone that is just in their own home, but that's not even, like, no one's safe. Just be better. Just don't stop fighting this thing. 102 days is bullshit. The cops are still out. One's been fired, 2 haven't. 2 are getting paid. 3 are not arrested. They need to be fucking arrested. They need to be in jail the rest of their lives. They killed a woman in plain clothes. They fucking battered down her door. Then they released a police report that said it listed her injuries as none, and it listed it is not a break-in. They literally said they just like walked in. Like it's fucked up. Justice for Breonna Taylor, and yeah. So also this week there were 5, and I've heard of 6, but I can't find enough details on the 6th because I really only want to be honest with you guys about what I actually found myself and what facts I've been able to find. 5 Black lives ended via lynchings, via hangings, and many of them, if not all of them, have been claimed suicides, and only some of the cases have been reopened. We're living in actual, like, racist, dystopian times. Like, that when you read a history book and you open to a page and there's a black and white photo of this horrible atrocity that you feel like was history, it isn't. It's fucking now, and it's down your street. A lot of the civil rights photos of Martin Luther King were in color, and they turned them to black and white for our history books because they wanted us to think it was longer ago. I'm not fucking kidding. There are tons of color photos that we've only seen in black and white because it quickly and immediately, and it's such clever bullshit to immediately make us think that this was longer ago. With one fucking filter, you can make us think, oh, that was forever ago. It's fucking now. So people are being hung, and there was a noose in the only black man in NASCAR's locker. And then NASCAR, thankfully, had every single other race car driver stand alongside and walk him out with his car. This is fucking crazy. A noose in someone's locker in 2020 after people are being lynched in this country. We're doing the shit we would invade other countries for in a fucking heartbeat. We are doing the atrocities that we're like, we're America, we gotta make sure the world's good, and we don't take, like, our own fucking backyard is worse than so many places. And we have a fucking racist leadership, so they're not gonna do shit. Please vote in November, even if it takes 10 hours. There's tons of voter fraud happening. Thousands of Kentucky voting locations have been narrowed down to 200. A community of 6,000, 2 towns, a community of 6,000 has 1 voting location in the upcoming election because they don't want the black community in Kentucky to have a voice. It's fucked up, and it's happening right fucking now. All of this shit, when you've ever read a history book and you've thought like, hey, what would I have done in Nazi Germany? Could I have stood by and watched people get marched into concentration camps? What would I have done when Martin Luther King was speaking or Malcolm X was speaking? Would I have been the It's happening right now. Do things. I'm trying to do things. Please do things. It's just fucking scary, right? Like, we watch these movies about it. We watch these incredible pieces of cinema about the past and the horrible things that we used to do. It's present. And we read comics and think heroes exist, but they fucking don't. Vote. Use your voice. Your voice is working. To make it a fucking clean example that won't politicize shit. From the day they announced there weren't going to be masks to the next day, less than 24 hours passed and AMC changed their entire plan for reopening because of our voices in one day. If your voice can change the biggest movie theater chain in the world in one day, maybe in a month we can get progress for a more important thing. Maybe in 6 months we can get progress for this insane systemic racism. Maybe in a year we can look back and go, look what we did through suffering in 2020. Look what we were able to change. Use your voice. It is fucking, it's what we got. And then COVID. And then COVID. Donald Trump is defunding numerous testing sites, because if you don't test, then there aren't cases. That doesn't mean you're not sick. It means you haven't been notified of being sick. I don't think pregnancies slow down if you stop testing for pregnancies. I think they probably expedite. I didn't take a pregnancy test. How can I be pregnant? So there are 13 different sites that have been there since the beginning of all this across 5 states that are being defunded at the end of the month in the next 7 days. In the next 7 days, 13 sites are being defunded because we're testing is causing the problem. To a fucking madman. How does that logic keep coming out of someone's mouth that we keep listening to? I mean, I'm not listening. I'm hearing and being enraged. But some people are listening. Some people are thinking that's how that works. Get tested. Take care of yourself. Stay home. I don't know why governors are like, the numbers are higher than ever. Open phase 4. Like, how are we simultaneously acknowledging it's getting worse while opening more. I don't fucking understand. I'm gonna stop talking about the real world because I'm getting angry. COVID's real. It's a problem. It's ongoing. It's getting worse. Racism. It's real. It's ongoing. It's a problem. It's getting worse. I'm gonna start watching NASCAR because I never thought I'd give so many shits about left turns, but I'm fucking invested in NASCAR doing more in one day than fucking the NFL did in 4 years. Yeah. Much love to you guys. I'm going to get back to pop culture. Be better than the people you know that are being stupid. If you see someone being stupid, don't call them stupid. It probably won't help. I've tried not to pick fights, and I've tried not to name names, and I've tried not to be a bully because I hate bullies. Sometimes I've slipped and like shared a screenshot of stupidity, and I'm trying not to, but I have a zero tolerance policy for stupidity going forward. If you see stupidity, be better than that. Work on being the voice you want to hear. Work on being the change you need to see in the world, please. For me, for you, for your family, for the next generation. The best way a society can improve is by people that will never see the change starting the change. We're not going to see the change that needs to happen in the next 5 years. So a lot of people are like, fuck it. Think marathon, not sprint. Start chipping away at this bullshit. Comic books are the best. I love them. They bring me into a world that feels better. Last week, it was a small comic book week. Actually, you know what? I'm going to check Streamlabs and then and calm down a little bit and then check the chat before I get into comic books. Guys, I'm sorry if this show feels a little disjointed now. Putting it in the middle of the show was good for my sanity to be happy in the beginning. So that's good. That's important information. Now that I'm angry, I got to fix it. Okay, I think I got everybody over here in the stream. We got some Ash Arnold has this to say. The cinema's over here. Oh, we got that one. Mukbang asked me about the favorite suit, and then Mukbang also has, thanks for real world-ish section of your shows. These issues must be addressed. Change the world if you can. Oh, thank you. Thank you for especially the feedback about the part of the show that makes me nervous. Thank you. Thank you, Mukbang. Really, thank you. I really appreciate it. Okay, more comic book stuff coming at ya. In the world of comic books, last week, my favorite books of the week were a short list because it was a small comic book week. It was a not Marvel, not Image, just DC stuff came out last week, so I used the time to read some stuff I've been wanting to read. I read Afterlift, the entire run. It's a 5-issue miniseries on Comixology. It is from Chip Zdarsky. It is about basically an Uber driver who is bringing a soul to hell. So Charon, the boatman in the river Styx, by way of Uber and Lyft. It's very clever and funny and great. Afterlift was one of my favorites last week. I also finally went to the comic book store. I got to go into the comic book store, got to walk in, got to smell comics, I got to newsprint. So nice. So I picked up my Amazing Spider-Mans and my Deadpool books. A lot of people ask me how I afford so many comics. I don't. I have codes from publishers and things, but there are comics that even though I could receive to read for free, I buy because I want to support comic stores. I buy Spider-Man because I collect it. I buy Deadpool because I collect it. I buy Strange Adventures because I want to support Tom King, Mitch Gerads making weird choices. And I buy all of those at either House of Secrets or Golden Apple because those are my stores. I think local comic book stores are a piece of culture we still have. I think that movie theaters are a piece of culture we still have. They're not homogenized. They're not pasteurized. They're still in their essence. They're glorious. So comic book stores are very important to me, so I buy them in the stores. So those, I got to go into my House of Secrets this week, and I got to pick up Spider-Man and Deadpool. So Amazing Spider-Man 41 through 43 were sitting in there waiting for me, and I loved all of them. I love Nick Spencer doing a more Silver Age take on Spider-Man. The comedy's great, the action's great, Ryan Otley's doing beautiful work in the art, and he's bringing back some OG Silver Age characters that I haven't seen in years. Deadpool is Kelly Thompson and Chris Picciello. Yeah, Chris Picciello. And Kelly Thompson is writing this incredible Monster Island arc where Deadpool is the king of the monsters, and it is so much fun, and I'm really enjoying the hell out of it. It's a perfect place for Chris Picciello to sing, and Kelly Thompson gets the comedy of Deadpool really, really well, so I highly recommend the current Deadpool arc as well. My other two pulls from last week were Family Tree number 6, an Image book about a family that turns into trees at a certain age, is just as weird as that logline sounds, and it's dark, and it's noir, and it's really good. And finally, I'm really digging Strange Adventures. Strange Adventures number 2 I picked up last week, and the art from Doc Shaner and Mitch Gerads is just goddamn And Mr. Terrific gets an entire issue of Mr. Terrific being fantastic in this title. Tom King writes the hell out of Mr. Terrific. Tom King is killing it. This book was my most anticipated book of the year, and it is living up to it. So check out Strange Adventures. It's only on issue 2. You're only one behind. Pick up issue 1 and 2 right now. Those are my favorites from last week. This week's pull is big. This is a pull with Image, Marvel, DC. Every publisher has something out this week, and there's a bunch I'm looking forward to. So, every week, as you guys know on my Instagram, I do that grid of my favorite 9 books. If you want to know what I thought of every single book I read, it is on Patreon. It's a low tier. I basically review every single comic, A, B, C, D, and F. I give it a letter grade, A+, A minus, and I grade every single book I read every single week. So that's one of my Patreon tiers. So if you want to know more than my just top 9, that's where to check it out. But I never want to charge people to give my favorites opinions. So all my favorites are on Instagram every single week, and then all of the ones that I liked or didn't like, Patreon. My favorites, my goal for this week, the ones I'm planning on reading, the tomorrow comic book pull list is Batman 93, James Tynion IV doing more great stuff with Batman, Harley, and this new character, Punchline. Batman the Smile Killer is going to be the sequel to Batman Killer Smile. It is a new arc that I'm very excited for. Captain America Marvel Snapshot #1. It is a single one-off issue. If you want to read some Cap and don't want to deal with continuity, that's a great place to do it. Dead Body Road Bad Blood 1. I don't know what this is, but the title has me interested. It's an Image book that I'm going to be checking out. Empire Avengers #0 is a book from Al Ewing, who's writing the impossibly good Immortal Hulk about the Kree Skrull War. It's the big summer event from Marvel starting off this week. Green Lantern 80th Anniversary #1. It has been 80 years since Green Lantern. This is an anthology book with lots of new Green Lantern tales. It drops tomorrow, or today, I guess, because Tuesday is DC Day. We got Green Lantern. I did that one. Immortal Hulk 2034. More Al Ewing on Immortal Hulk is always the right move. Is one of the most consistent Hulk runs ever, and one of my favorite comics of the last 2 years. John Constantine Hellblazer #7. Some of the best writing I've ever read with Hellblazer. The dialogue drips off the page, and the art is so graphic, you can almost smell it. This book is so good for the character. The Lolo Woods #7, the final issue of the Lolo Woods, one of the Hill House books. Plunge #4 from Joe Hill, another of the Hill House books from DC's Black Label. Loving the horror stuff over there, and even though not usually a horror guy. Sex Criminals #29, one of the last issues of Chip Zdarsky on art, Mac Fraction onwards. Very funny book, very sexual, very perverse. If you like sexual humor, you'll like this book. Sex Criminals 29 is almost done. Spider-Ham #5. What do I have to say about Spider-Ham? If you're interested in Spider-Ham, you know it, and that is #5. Suicide Squad #6. Tom Taylor, one of my favorite writers in the game, writing the Suicide Squad. He's over at DC, reinventing the Suicide Squad. His last issue had a big twist in it, so know that before you read issue 6. And then Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, one of my favorite anthology books of all time. It is a really funny, really weird book with a bunch of mysteries intertwining through different Jimmy Olsen tales. And finally, my #1 book of the week is Thor #5. Donny Cates and Nick Klein doing, I think, my favorite run on Thor. It's so metal, it's so good, and he's following Jason Aaron, and he's somehow doing it. I love Donny Cates, but that's a huge, huge hat to wear. 7 years. No one has written more Thor than Jason Aaron in history, and Donny Cates had to follow that. I did an interview with Donny Cates. It is up on my YouTube. It's up right here. You're on YouTube. On this page is an interview with Donny Cates. We talk about his Thor. And Thor #5, I've been waiting 3 months for the follow-up to Thor #4 because of quarantine. Thor #5 is out this week. It is my #1 pull of the week. Thor has never been better. I've actually read some of the dialogue out loud from these comics because it sounds so good on paper. I wanted to hear it. It's good enough. It's made me talk out loud like a crazy person. That's my plug. Thor #5 is out this week. All right, before I go to streaming, let me see what is going on in the chat. Also, I think in July I'm going to be shaving off my Ollie, my little crazy Green Lantern, because I look full crazy in this. But I think I'm going to grow my hair out, because it's already been 3 months, so fuck it. Just a personal, shameless narcissism note. I think I'm going to go Little McConaughey with curlier, longer hair, and then I can't have both, so I'm going to take this down. But I'm going to have to shoot some, you have failed this cities before I do. All right, let's see. eBay is my closest comic store. I've been an eBay comic buy for back issues before. I empathize. Especially when we're trying to find old comics, it is hard to find them. Let's see. Travis, thank you so much, man. I appreciate your vote of confidence in me getting into the real world shit. Much obliged. It helps. Let's see. Yeah, politics. I love that this. Okay, so this is a group chat that talks positively about movies and comics, but you guys also talk about politics in a very mature way, especially for the way things are going right now. Yeah, impressive. I really respect and appreciate the Koi Pond. You guys are fantastic. Let's see. AU. How do women feel when they see the Jackman pillow? Dude, I've got like tons of these are all some of my favorite actors as Civil War generals. Like that's Brad Pitt. I've never had a problem with girls disliking or they all think they're funny, and it hasn't caused any issues. It's always been that guy likes pop culture, and they're with me on it. These pillows have not. They've seemingly only helped. As far as people understanding who I am as a human, because I've got tons of art everywhere. So when I didn't want my pillows to be boring if the rest of my place was crazy. So they've only helped people understand who I am more. Let's see. All right. Yeah, that'll be diving back in. I got these pillows on they're from a company called Society 6. So they've actually got a bunch. The next one I'm getting is Idris Elba. I just don't have room, so when I move, I'm gonna get an Idris Elba one. But they've got a whole bunch of different ones, and then you can either get them with or without the pillow inserts. So the history behind these pillows that comes up so often. History of this couch. When I moved, my couch was destroyed and my pillowcases were trashed, but I wanted to do something to have a couch. So instead of getting rid of all my pillows, I got new cases, and now I just get a different this couch isn't mine. I'm just my place I moved into had a couch, so I brought this, and now it's a more complete thing. So I just whenever I move, add 1 or 2 pillows, and then I've got a stack of crazy wherever I go. So it was because my old pillowcases on my couch cushions were trash that I got these crazy faces, and now I use them as props, and people ask all the time. So apparently it's working. All right, let's see. Okay, my reading list. I am currently reading Ultimate Spider-Man. I'm reading the weekly books, obviously, and I'm reading Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. So I'm reading obviously everything I just recommended to you. I'm on issue 91 of Ultimate Spider-Man. That's my I'm not stressed about getting this done in time, just enjoying the reread of it. And then Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers is an incredible book about what makes some of us exceptional and how certain preconceived notions of humanity are actually more about timing. It's a really, really fascinating book. I'm only about a third of the way in. Deeply in love with it. It's fantastic. Streaming recommendations. I'm going to break this down via different networks of streaming. So what I used to do was by date, what movies were coming out. But this month I wanted you guys to check out all of the very important films about Black Lives Matter on every network. So I didn't give you recommendations the last 2 weeks because I didn't want my voice to cloud the important voice of everyone actually going through real shit. Now I want to give some recommendations for the last 3 weeks. So the movies for June, after the first week of June, on these various streaming services are as follows that I personally recommend or enjoyed. Streaming on Netflix, I recommend Da 5 Bloods from Spike Lee. I also recommend F is for Family, which just dropped from Bill Burr, and Sam Rockwell is one of the voices on it. F is for Family is very funny. I don't watch a lot of animation, but I've seen a few episodes of it, and I'm a big fan of Bill Burr. Big fan. Eric Andre Legalize Everything is Eric Andre's new comedy special that dropped last night, midnight. I haven't watched it yet. It dropped at midnight. I have June 23rd written down, which is today. Eric Andre, very funny man, new comedy special. Over on Hulu, we've got Poetic Justice, which is Tupac Shakur, Janet Jackson. It's movies from 1997, 93. Yeah, it's movies from 93, and it holds up. It's very good. If you've never seen Juice, watch Juice, and if you've never seen Poetic Justice, watch Poetic Justice, which is available on Hulu. 7 Pounds from Will Smith, I remember really liking in theaters, but I haven't rewatched it, but I remember it being really emotional, so I need to check that one out. Let's see, what else we got? Dragonheart on Hulu. Guys, fucking Dragonheart. So good. Dragonheart. If you've never seen Dragonheart, stop watching this. Go watch Dragonheart. We got Crawl, which is my biggest surprise horror movie of last year. Again, not a big horror movie guy, but this alligator horror movie, dug it. We've got Charlie's Angels, which drops on 6/25, so the day after tomorrow. The new Charlie's Angels, which I liked more than a lot of people. It's definitely got some problems. The third act falls apart a bit, but it's a lot of fun. So if you want some escapism, there's some goodness coming out of Charlie's Angels, and Kristen Stewart is exceptional in it. Also, Seberg on Amazon Prime. Seberg is my biggest surprise of the year. I loved Seberg, also Kristen Stewart. So if you guys... if you guys think that Kristen Stewart's only Twilight, you're wrong. Seberg and Charlie's Angels are two very different sides of Kristen. They're both great. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol drops on Hulu and on Amazon Prime on the 30th. Mission Impossible, obviously a fantastic series. Then we've got Amazon has Equilibrium, the Christian Bale, Omar Epps Gun Fu movie. If you don't know what Gun Fu is, you're about to learn. Equilibrium. Knives Out, the Rian Johnson Whodunit that dropped last year that surprised a lot of people. Rian Johnson, brilliant filmmaker. And I love all of his work, but it was really nice that he got some acclaim with Knives Out. And then finally, over on Amazon, my pick of the week, the newest movie I've seen, the first new release that I've gotten to review early, 7500. 7500 is so much better than people are saying. It's a really claustrophobic thriller from Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It's his first thing in a very long time. I don't think Joe's made a movie since 2016. I love 7500. It is so intense. My palms were sweaty in the first act, and they stayed that way through the third. Its biggest compliment and its biggest folly is that it's a third act movie throughout. So it's exhausting, but it's great. It's only 90 minutes. Check out 7500. It is my pick of the week. It is on Amazon Prime. It is an Amazon original film, and it is Joe's first movie in 4 years. On Disney Plus, we've got Infinity War finally coming to Disney Plus. That is available on 6/26 in 3 days. And then Tarzan drops that day as well. I love Tarzan. You got some great music. You got some great swinging. Tarzan's fun. And then over on HBO Max, our newest streaming service on HBO Max, Ad Astra is available. Brad Pitt's crazy sci-fi think piece. And finally, Ford versus Ferrari, my favorite movie of last year as far as like best picture films. I don't remember what I said my number one was last year, but I remember I wanted that to win best picture. Shit, I don't remember. Ford vs. Ferrari is what I wanted for Best Picture. I love Ford vs. Ferrari. And then on the 25th, we got Doom Patrol Season 2. Shout out to Smack Talk, who is now finally watching Doom Patrol. Welcome to DC Universe. Good sir, you'll enjoy Season 2, dropping on the 25th. And finally, on the 27th, we have the director's cut for Doom Patrol. The director's cut for Dr. Sleep. Dr. Sleep was one of my top 20 of last year. I had a hugely good time. Wasn't the sentence I meant to say. I had a hugely good time watching Dr. Sleep, so I'm fascinated by a 3-hour cut of this movie. It is a sequel to The Shining, and it is so good at rebuilding the feeling of The Shining and growing out from there. I'm a big fan of that movie. Ewan McGregor is fantastic in it, and I really dug it. So check out the goodness that is Dr. Sleep, the director's cut, which drops on the 27th. Let me check on the chat here. I'm going to go over to the Streamlabs. What up, Dr. Nitrogen? All right, it's loading. Dr. Nitrogen is in the chat. I hope you're well, good sir. While this loads, it is an hour-and-a-half show today, or approaching that. It is. I'm not good at that under-hour thing. I did it once. I highly recommend The Dreaming from DC, continuing the Sandman universe. Volume 2, about to start soon. Sandman graphic novels, now branded Black Label. I have not checked out The Dreaming. I did not know that was within the Sandman universe. I know Hellblazer is in the Sandman universe, and that is very good. I will check out The Dreaming on your recommendation, especially with a new volume about to start. Thank you. I appreciate that. The Dreaming will be on my queue. Much obliged, Dr. Nitrogen. All right, quickly, before I wrap out of here, checking on the chat. Making sure everybody's happy. All right, let's see. People are excited about Keaton late in the game. I'm so Welcome. If you go to the top of the show, I talk all about the Keaton excitement. Hell yeah, High Fantasy Soul. I got my master's degree in criminal justice to fix our broken system years ago, and it's amazing to see so many average people learning about this stuff now and fighting too. Thank you. Absolutely. I appreciate the hell out of you getting educated and making it your life, and that's really amazing, and thank you for doing that. Yes, the no-knock warrant did pass because of Breonna Taylor, and they're calling it Breonna's Law, and that is great. It is a great step. It is one step of many, but it is a great step, and I do want to point out when things go well. The no-knock warrant is fantastic. Them acknowledging they did something wrong by passing a law that should have been passed a long time ago and then not arresting those fucks, what the fuck? But yes, the no-knock warrant is a fantastic evolution of the justice system. I totally agree. Thank you for pointing that out. No charges yet in the NASCAR noose incident. That will change. I do think that will change. FBI has determined it wasn't a noose. If it's a rope in the shape of a noose, it's a symbol. It doesn't matter if it, how can you determine... I don't know. I'm not a forensic... I don't know. The message was clear, and fuck that message being an option in 2020. Fuck anyone thinking that way, much less acting on it. Fuck all that. Okay. Let's see. It's good to vent. Yes, it is. It is good to vent. Spider-Man Life Story is incredible, AU. Big fan. Oh, my Patreon's given a 404. Okay. If you just type in Coy-Jandreau on Patreon, it should pop up, but I'll check on that afterward. Thank you for wanting to. Thank you for looking in there. Have I seen Marshall or Kill a Mockingbird? I love both Kill a Mockingbird and Marshall. Kill a Mockingbird, like the Gregory Peck movie, right? Yeah. Love that movie. Sorry to Bother You is a great movie. I love people standing up for Kristen Stewart. Hell yeah, she's fantastic. Oh, I see what you're saying. The FBI says there's a garage pull string that's been there since 2019. Okay, I need to look into that. I don't know how that would just suddenly appear, but thank you for updating me. I hadn't heard that yet, so I'll look into that. I thought your message was saying the FBI was like, there was a rope, but it wasn't big enough to be a noose, so it's not a noose. So thank you for clarifying, because I would have had no idea of what you meant, and I was like, just instantly enraged at the concept the FBI would be like, it's fine. I will look into that the moment the show's over, because I want to be informed and I don't want to give away misinformation. So I personally don't know the situation with the noose beyond what I had heard, and thank you for giving me more to look into. Are you going to do TV show collections on DVD? Like reviews? I plan on watching Batman the Animated... I have Batman the Animated Series on Blu-ray. It is... When I have time, I will watch it, and I'll definitely talk about it. That might be a Patreon review I do one day if someone wants me to, but it's so hard to only... Like, it's hard to... The Patreon thing, I write down notes, I watch interviews, and I research. So, like, I spend about 10 hours of prep plus the 2 or 3 hours I do watching whatever the content is and then the review it. So it's about a 20-hour process. So I can't do reviews like willy-nilly or I wouldn't have time to live, which I barely do now. But I will be watching Batman the Animated Series for fun, and maybe I'll add it as part of the show if that answers your question. Ian, and your name here, thank you for both filling me in on all of that jazz. Chip Zdarsky is incredible on Daredevil and his run on Batman Life Story. I don't have the Batman Beyond series. I've never been able to find it on DVD or Blu-ray, but yeah. Fascinating. Okay, thank you. I miss Marvel movie news as well, and I miss Collider Heroes very, very much. Those were good days when the internet was a different thing, but I appreciate you guys following me along to right here, because if I see you in here, that means you found a way to join me here. So very, very much appreciated. I think that's going to be it for the show, you guys. I'm going to check Streamlabs one last time. I hope you all had fun. Let me know what you think of this new format. Let me know what you think of putting the real world shit in the middle and pop culture at the top, and then closing out the show with basically comic books and streaming recs. I think other than my getting a little worked up, it worked out as far as tonally and as far as pacing. I feel like I'm not letting voices be silenced, and I feel like I'm not letting the message get drowned out, but I also feel like it's better to let people have the escapism of me not being enraged at the top. So I'm trying to find that middle ground. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of that new format. On Thursday, we usually do Coy-lection. This week, we're not doing Coy-lection because on Friday, I'm kicking off a brand new show. We're doing a show called Comic Books and Craft Beer on Friday. I'm going to be drinking craft beer that I'm very excited to drink from Devour. Now, this is one of the 7 or 8 different beers they sent me. I'm very excited because I'm a craft beer man that usually can't find new craft beers to consume, and they sent me 8. So, on Friday, we're going to do comic books and craft beer. And basically, Devour sent me a box for this first one, and they gave me a promo code. So if you guys are beer folk, if you're craft beer folk especially, and you don't want to be going out to the store, if you don't want to be out in the public and you want to drink, they deliver to your house. You just got to sign for it. You get carded at your own home. You get to be like, here's my ID, I live here, and then they give you beer. It's an incredible app, and if you use the code COY10, COY10, my name 10, you get $10 off after the first $25 you spend. There is a discount code with my name in it for beer. Do you know how honored I am to have beer have a discount code? That is the most Boston accomplishment I've ever done, and I'm so fucking proud. Coy10 over on the Devour app. That is TAVOUR, like Devour and Tavern, Devour. So the Devour app has tons of beers. I told them I wanted stouts and I wanted like red ales and stuff, and they sent me literally 8 different beers I've never had, and they're all from local craft breweries. They gather them and send them out. So you're helping breweries that actually need it. You're not giving Coors, the penny, like that. Big beer companies are fine. craft beer is needing your help. Tavour does an incredible thing, and $10 off with Coy-10. I'm very, very excited. I'm going to be doing a show every Friday or every other Friday where I drink beer, review the beer, and review the comics from that week, or interview someone who is either a part of something creative or discuss comics with them. So eventually StreamYard is going to be an outlet for me to have people Skype in, but for now I'm going to have guests over that have been around during quarantine. So my first guest, I think if scheduling works out, is going to be my friend Jenny. Jenny is a wardrobe person who does incredible stuff that is in the worlds of sci-fi and pop culture, and also she's just a great person that knows comics. So I wanted to talk to Jenny because I feel like a lot of people see comic books as this boys club, and so many girls love comics. So I want to talk to her about her experience with comics, about her experience with comic book stores. I want to talk to her about what drew her to the world of comics, and basically have a conversation talking comics, drinking beer, reviewing comics. And then on weeks I don't have a guest, I'll be reviewing the last week or the last 2 weeks' favorite comics, just my favorites, talking positively about the comics I enjoyed through all that. So brand new show, and if any of you are graphic designers, if any of you want to help me with the design, basically I want to do like the Sam Adams like guy, but instead of Sam Adams, like have a Batman head, and then the font be comic books and craft beer. So if anyone has any graphic design skills, I would love your help making a graphic design thing, because all I can do is the little squares. If you guys saw my YouTube cover here, that is the extent of my graphic design knowledge. So I'm going to be reaching out to various graphic design folk. So anyone in the Koi Pond that does graphics, that would be amazing if you guys could help me out. I'm going to try to make a comic books and craft beer logo, and down the line I want to try to get big guests, you know, like Rob and Jim Starlin and those folks to Skype in with StreamYard. So I'm going to learn StreamYard. I'm going to figure all this out. Brand new show, so there is no Koi election this week. This is going to be the first week of comic books and craft beer. Jesus in the chat, thank you very much for the donation on Super Chat. My local comic book store is reopening today with being shut down for 14 days due to a positive test of COVID. Gonna go get my comic books tomorrow. Thank you, comics, for a bit of escapism to the real world BS. Dude, I remember you sent me something about your comic book store closing on Twitter, I think like right as it happened. Welcome back. I'm so sorry it was closed down, and welcome to the world of comics again. Congratulations on going tomorrow on a brand new comic book day with tons of comic shipping, and you've got like your back issues to read. You've got hours of escapism ahead of you, sir. That is amazing. So congratulations, Jesus, on the time passing long enough. And it sucks for whoever diagnosed positive with COVID. That is a shitty situation for everyone involved. So congratulations on getting back safely into your comic book store. That is a very important part. Safety first. Get the hell in there. Jason Ritchie, what up, man? Jason is someone I worked with back in Boston forever ago and is great people. I know you're not covering Black Lives Matter right now, but Michael Shea Matters on Netflix is a great stand-up set that covers Black Lives Matter subjects. I covered it like just 15 minutes before, so I'll absolutely incorporate that into next week's episode in the real world section. Thank you very much for pointing that out. Michael Shea is a brilliant comedian, and he's dealt with so much recently. I think he lost his mom, and the real world's just coming at him, and Michael Shea Matters is, I've heard great, I haven't watched it yet, I've heard incredible things about. So if you're interested in a real voice within the situation that is also well-spoken and funny, Michael Shea Matters on Netflix. Thank you very much for pointing that out, Jason Ritchie. As ever, it is great to hear from you. Michael Shea Matters over on Netflix. And if you guys think the comic books and craft beer show sounds familiar, it is inspired by Mr. Mark Riley, who does a wine and movies thing. So basically people drink wine, people send him like $20 to go get a bottle of wine, and he tells people like, hey, this bottle of wine is from blankety blank. I think I'm going to do that, but also do, so if you guys want to send, like, once the show starts, once the show gets going, if you want to do any craft beers, you can recommend stuff. I might not be able to find it because I'm not going to be spending a lot of time, like, driving and looking in different stores because I'm trying to like be safe. But if you want to contribute to the beer fund after a couple weeks, once we get the show established, then I'll make sure to put your name on the beer and I'll give you a shout out and all that stuff in the show. So I want to do what Mark's been doing because it's a great way to communicate with you guys, and I love your recommendations for beer just like he does with wine, and I love the idea of kind of having a beer with y'all. So that'll be something as the show goes along, as we build up to that. But again, I've wrapped the show like 4 times, but like you guys are great, so I end up just being here. We're going to hit the hour and a half, like I feared, and then no one on YouTube is going to click on this because they'd be like, why would we watch a man for a feature-length film talk about feature-length films and comic books? That seems short-sighted, but you guys understand. Okay, let's see. All the positivity in the chat is fantastic. If they could deliver beer and comics together, man, if I wasn't afraid of COVID, I would happily be delivering beer and comics together. If I could join up with Devour, like Devour and comic books, and like we just like get drunk and drink beer. Get drunk and read comics. The dream. Okay, I'm glad you guys are excited about this show. I thought it was either a great idea or a ridiculous idea. I'm glad you guys are on the side of a ridiculous and great idea. We're going to have a lot of fun, and a little bit of a buzz on a Friday night sounds like a really good piece of escapism right now. So a little buzz is going to be amazing. The NASCAR thing, High Fantasy said, apparently the person who had the garage before Bubba had cut the garage pole and tied it to look exactly like a noose in 2019. So the pole was intentionally changed for context. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand how they just found it. I'm going to look into it. Thank you. Both sets of folks who pointed that out to me. A few people mentioned it like 10 minutes ago, and then just now, High Fantasy mentioned it. Thank you, guys. Now I have something to look up. All right, kicking off Friday. Craft beers and comic books. Comic books and craft beers. Spidey Cat is making his annual cameo. Is that hot button? Okay. I'm going to wrap this show up. I appreciate you guys. Stay safe. Stay sane. I'll see you Friday if you come for the new show. I'm very excited, and I'll be giving comic recs on that show as well as beer recommendations. Check out the Devour app, TAVOUR. Use the code COY10, COY10 for some sweet, sweet beer. And until then, hunt me down on Twitter, hunt me down on Instagram, read some comics. Congratulations to Jesus for getting his comic book store back. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being good people. Thank you for listening to my rants about real world events and the beautiful worlds of fiction we get to live in. And thank you, as ever, to comic books for existing, for giving me that sweet, sweet escapism when we need it most. And also, remember to get back in the world and engage. Escapism's good, but engaging and changing the reality so your real world can be as good as your fantasy world is just as important. And we've got one more super chat. Jimmy Mac, I'm a little late to the stream today, starting work, but I'll watch the replay. Oh, dude, thank you. Keep for Beer Talk Friday. Stay safe and positive, Coy from Down Under. And Aussie sending me beer money in advance. I love that. Thank you very much. I love your country. I love your people. We will talk Australian beers and other beers on Friday. By the way, Foster's not Australian for beer. There's much better beer in Australia, and their sake is exceptional. Much love to Australia. Much love to Jimmy Mac. Much love to you all, and I'm actually going to wrap the show. I will see you guys on Friday. I will see you next week, and stay safe, stay sane, stay sweaty. I'll see you soon.